Over the last 2 decades, social media, heavily fueled by influencer culture, has greatly changed how the Trinbagonian public perceives food. And you know what? That's a serious thing for both consumers of content and creators of content. But in true Trini fashion, nobody really documenting these steps so we could learn from the good and improve on the bad. So let me start here. Let's meet some influencers, some chefs, industry professionals, and look at influencer culture in Trinidad and Tobago for a bit. Let's observe, question, and try to understand the role that content creation and influencer marketing plays in shaping our culinary landscape, and get a full appreciation of what really taking place behind the pretty videos, the food photos, and link in bio captions. This is Finding a Recipe for Influence. Food influencers have been around long before the internet. In a Trinbagonian context, there was Sylvia Hunt, sharing local recipes on television every Monday evening back in the 80s. For Miss Sylvia to have any access to the viewership owned by the television station, she had to have credibility in the culinary space. The democratization of media has lowered the barrier to entry, and credibility is now measured by social media following, views, likes, shares, and viral moments. With the tools now available to allow easy photo and video production, the door is wide open for many to enter.
Anytime I used to go and travel, like with family or anything like that, I always take a picture of food. Anything I eat and taste and whatever, even other people on the table, I just take in photos. So one day I go and show this photo and thing there. So my wife and her friend was just like, why you don't start an Instagram and just post it up? Let's see what happens. No intention of it going anywhere. I said, all right, cool. I had this whole backlog of travel photos. I talking about, I can't even tell you, like from 2008 come forward. So I just started posting photos, and in between that, posting live stuff too. Something you make at home, something you order. And yeah, it just keeps spiraling to the point where, you start getting interest from people. People start telling you, well, rate this. Tell me how this is. What was the price of that? So I start putting that into the caption. Back then I was writing, people just have this big caption describing everything. I used to be doing that. And then video come along. And yeah, just how everybody says, the same thing happening. I want to see this in the video. Go and try this place for me before I go. And it just keep snowballing. And that was 6 years ago, and here we are now.
To be frank, foodie didn't happen by accident, So Rhett and Ryan, who were the other two individuals involved, currently it's just Rhett McCarthy and myself now. But at the time, Rhett and Ryan had another platform called Carnival Central. And so Carnival Central, so Carnival based. And with Carnival fast approaching in early 2015, they wanted to do food content to guide tourists on places to eat. So think about top 10 roti spots, top 10 doubles, barbecue. And I think one out of those three took off on Carnival Central. And after that, to us, it was apparent that, hold on, we need to do something with this now. So let me just reverse a little bit here. So how did I enter the conversation with them with Carnival Central? Naturally, they reached out to me to collaborate on the food content, because at the time, I just came out, not too long, came out of hotel school, was catering, born in the food industry. I don't know how far back into my personal life you want to go, but they just reached out to me because they needed somebody in the food world to collaborate with. So we did the videos, and as I said, they basically took off, and we quickly realized, hold on, we need to do something with this, and it should be separate and apart from Carnival Central. So yeah, and that's basically how it started.
I always used to be experimenting with cameras, that kind of thing. Always making some little short, weird film, that kind of thing, but just not, I'm scared to do it in that kind of way, but I know I want to do it now, this kind of way. And, met Melina, and, was it when we got married or before? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, when we got married, I don't think if I'm in boyfriend stage, I'm not going to invest in a camera.
Right.
No.
Yeah, so, I was talking about wanted to shoot something, wanted to do a video about something. And I was like, hey, babe, watch this camera. I feel like I could buy this now. What do you think? And she was like, Randall, you sure you want to do this?
At first, I told him.
Because I wasn't working, eh?
Yeah, he wasn't working at the time. I was bringing in the bread now. So I was like, Randall, this not looking practical, you know. I think was at the point in time was I used camera. I think it was 2,500. We paid for it.
Yeah.
But remember, in a normal 8 to 4, if you're making upwards, I let me say 5,000, you're making, you're saying things now. So I was like, that probably next to half, you know, of my salary going behind that. But you know, I took the chance because I saw him working hard on it with the home videos and stuff. We had a little
Cyber shot.
cyber shot,
Yeah.
24 pixel camera, a real long time thing.
Yeah, I used to
And
do,
that
like,
is
little
what he
videos
was
on
using
the-
before.
So
And
I
I
was
said,
like,
okay, Melina, you're going with God with this and allow him to express himself because he never really knew what he wanted. He don't fit in the corporate life at all, Rendell. Don't like people to tell him what to do. So he's his own boss now. Thank God for that.
So I just started during COVID, just being bored during COVID, and just trying to figure out what I'm doing myself, just home, you know what I mean? I did initially start off with a bunch of skits and just trending audios and stuff just to build my platform, but honestly with no set goal in mind, I just started just for funsies. And the first video that actually went relatively viral for me was my most organic and authentic video, which was me trying catch, the different flavors of catch for the first time. I was just in the grocery randomly during my lunch hour at work, and I saw that catch came out with coconut, dark chocolate, and mint. I was like, what the hell? What the hell is going on here? Because all I know is the red pack catch now. The OG milk chocolate. Yeah, so that's like one of my first videos that crossed 100,000 views. Because it was my most authentic, organic video, I think it just came across the bat. It was received quite well with my audience, which I appreciated a lot. Because I love food. Food is my love language. So it's very easy for me to just like enjoy and do the dancing now. You know, so that's kind of how I started, I would say. And everything kind of came naturally over time because I'm a big TikTok watcher myself, so I started to style my content in such a way where things that I like to see, so like my videos, how I do it like in the ways that I like to see. So I like to see a lot of sauce. I like to see people, their face, enjoying their food and things, and it's all authentic and it's organic. And it's all me, you know. So it's a lot less effort than me thinking too much about the kind of content I'm putting out. And it's received better that way, you know, because everybody, exactly, because everybody and their auntie is a content creator these days now.
Now, before we go further, well, before I go further, let me understand that you have different categories in this thing, right? Very specific categories with people doing very specific things. In broad strokes, an influencer is anybody with a following of 1,000 up on a platform through which they consistently distribute content. A content creator is somebody focused on the production of videos, photos, recipe, reels, etc. They also have influence on people who enjoy their work, but their power is in the production. Food writers tell food stories. Their journalistic skills allow them to do accurate deep dives, reviews, and explore food culture, which creates influence via information. And finally, the food critic. With extensive knowledge and training in the culinary realm, the food critic is able to provide valuable critiques and reviews of products, restaurants, chefs, and more. An earned title that very few could claim. Now, there might be some overlaps in the categories, but they're not all playing the same game.
In my opinion, the difference between a content creator and somebody creating videos on social media is consistency. So, in my opinion, if you are consistently creating content on social media, even sometimes regardless of the views that you get and stuff like that, I consider you to be a content creator. If you make a video once in a while, and yes, you're creating content, but I don't specifically coin you as a content creator in that aspect. Maybe that's not your platform. Maybe you have a certain platform you do it on. Might be photography, art, whatever. But in terms of social media landscape, that's how I differentiate a content creator versus somebody just creating content. It's consistency.
Them definitions interesting to me. How you define an influencer?
I hate that term, by the way. I don't use that term.
Yeah.
I call myself a culinary content creator. I don't cook as much. I cook in Badawi's kitchen. Yeah. But I don't consider myself a cook by any means.
Right. Do you consider yourself an influencer?
I hate that word. And there are people who are influenced by what I create from the content I create. But the term influencer was stained from a very long time ago into a very commercialized idea. And I don't like the commercialization of that word influencer. Because when you use the word influencer, it comes across as a very staged, commercialized entity with ads and sponsors and payments. And, that is not the vibe I go for. So I don't want to be called an influencer. I like to use the term, as I said, culinary content creator. And I send you an email, that was on my signature, culinary content creator. And that's kind of what I like to go. The influencer thing, I mean, yes, there are people out there who are influencers and all that sort of thing. Maybe you call them an influencer. Maybe the ones who, again, my opinion, who may be doing more of the, as I said, more ad-structured content, it might be able to term them as an influencer.
I heard this a long time ago and somebody was like, everything is content. So, and I always told people, I say, once it has something to do with food, because that's my niche, are there. So, you understand? So we go to like a lunch at something, or we just lime in someone, we just having some drinks and some kind of snack. That's food content. And what is food? That's normally people sharing experiences, they lime in whatever, and what they do, they drink and they eat. So it involves almost everything with just, people having a good time together, So that's how I see it. So content creation, you just pull in content and you post in just for the love of it, and whoever benefit from it. The foodie influencer side now is you could either be in a job, you could be invited by a food place, or establishment, a food truck, or a high-end restaurant, or you simply just say, hey, I've been having this and I rel onto this, and you put it out there for people. And now you influence people, hey, go and check this out.
I think we make a distinction between influencers and food bloggers. Okay? Influencers, can, for us, I mean, restaurants can be a little bit biased, if you know what I mean. If I invite an influencer to my restaurant and I pay her for her little strength she's gonna put on her page, it's a little bit biased in the sense of she will say only good things about me. I invite her to Zazu, I pay her for her service, so she's not going to suddenly say bad things about me, okay? And that I think is understood, which is fine and fair enough, okay? A food blogger is a bit different, even if sometimes we professionals take it sometimes with a little pinch of salt. In a sense of we are in a very bizarre industry where we constantly being judged and bombarded by people. There's no other really professions like that. You don't have a blog about your doctor, your dentist, your mechanic. You don't go to the doctor and suddenly make a whole thing on your social media saying, oh God, boy, I had to wait an hour in the waiting room. The magazines were out of date, and people don't do that. But somehow they feel like they can do it with food. Okay, they can come to our restaurants, and suddenly they become experts on food.
So around 2020, the influencer scene in Trinidad kind of exploded. And mainly because of the access to high-speed internet, TikTok and Instagram getting bigger. And then, of course, the COVID lockdown. You remember COVID, right? Yeah, COVID lockdown caused that too. But even with the large amount of creators in the game right now, the content lacks diversity and originality.
When I came into this game, you're liking it more and more, I would have already been a communications professional. So it's different for me as opposed to, I think people are still only thinking, well, somebody spends a lot of time on social media, so they could do it for you. There's still that, and to me, you see the results. Or, well, again, we're going to copy this. X does it, we want to just like that. So the pictures all look the same. The tone is the same. Well, don't talk for ChatGPT. Can we not?
I think like the Now, the first thing that comes to mind is the lack of substance needed to I don't want to say create good content, because the goals seem to change. You know, the goals seem to change. It seems as though you have, and I mean, again, food is a highly subjective conversation. Content in general is highly subjective. Everybody is free to view and engage with whatever content they want. But I can tell you, at the time when we enter the space as newbies, everybody else that was already existing in the space, without even knowing them, without even knowing you personally, I could tell everybody were passionate about food and passionate about culture. Now, I'll ask you, is everybody passionate about food and culture? Is that the driving force behind the content? Exactly.
I think personally is a little oversaturated or getting there. Getting to a point where, okay, we have another foodie reviewer. Oh yay. What are they going to say different? What different are they bringing to the landscape? Everybody's doing the same thing. They go in, they eating pizza, burger, fried chicken, gyro, roti doubles, roti challenge, double challenge. What? It's a lot. It's really oversaturation in the market.
It's less.
Yeah, I like it. Oh, this is real good.
There's a popular thinking that every opinion is valid because taste is subjective. But a professional opinion is not really just about, taste and personal enjoyment. It includes an understanding of technique, ingredients, and other standards that should be adhered to.
I would like people who either have some kind of they have a background in food, they have a passion about food. If they're not trained, if they're not chefs themselves, they're people who line with that tribe, or they're avid home cooks. Because you have some people who do stuff at home and you serve it to chef friends and they're like, oh my God, I wish I could do that. And to me, that's success, and that's the person who you want to speak to it. But the other issue is, I think, with us no longer having a hospitality school that could give you, people who may have done, if not even a whole degree program, some kind of aspect where they got familiar, they got customer service training, and while they were doing the customer service training, they did some culinary, or they did. But you have to value it. You have to value that opinion. You have to value people who can speak to it. And that would be who I would try to get, regardless of, and who would be credible, I would say. Not necessarily that they would have the most followers, but they could speak passionately and they could have integrity and people would believe what they said.
My qualification is just my tongue. From the time I'm born, I drink my mother milk and I start to eat food after a certain age. That is my qualification. Is what I like, is what I prefer, and I'm just sharing my experience. But to say I have a piece of paper or I went through a schooling system to tell me what tastes good to me, I don't find that fair. But it's going to have people that have a more vast knowledge about what things supposed to. They don't have a supposed to with food. Is what people popularize and what people been intentional behind and what they consider sacred, but there's no rules to food. But you know to yourself what tastes good to you and what tastes bad to you. And everybody should be able to have that experience without having some sort of qualification to say if it tastes good or bad to me.
In the old days, I'm not a young chef, in the old days, we had newspapers, we had magazines, when you had food journalists who used to make a page or an article, or you had food guides, like the Michelin Guide, the Egon Runner in UK, but there were serious people. What I mean by that, there were people who were in the food industry and understand, what chef is trying to do, understand, they were capable and knowledgeable enough to understand and critique what you're doing, your food, And even though some chefs used to get a little bit furious about it, and being like, how those people come and, the fact that somebody come to my restaurant, like or don't like my food, I'm totally okay with that. I'm not here to please everybody, first. And two, you're entitled not to like what I cook. You understand? I'm okay with that. I might make a dish for you that you might not enjoy, you might not like it. It doesn't mean that what I cooked for you is not right. You understand? The plate I put in front of you is cooked correctly, is seasoned correctly, the sauce is done correctly, it's technical, but it didn't,
Your preference.
was not your preference, it didn't suddenly, had no effect on you, or it's not something you really like, and I accept that totally, But to come and criticize that, suddenly I feel a little bit brushed in the wrong way, because are you knowledgeable enough? Are you savvy enough in cooking to know what I did in the kitchen for that dish? The fact that you don't like it is fair enough, but don't tell me it is wrong. It is not wrong. Nothing wrong with that dish. It's not just something you like, and it's fair enough. I'm okay with that. But don't come and suddenly criticize the work I did. On what ground are you a chef yourself? Have you worked in the food industry? Do you understand the techniques the chef put in that dish? What it takes, to go from scratch to put that plate in front of you? Do you know what work it takes to do that? And knowledge and years and years and years of cooking and practice and to put that, and in 2 seconds you destroy my entire chef career like that, just for the fact that you don't like that dish. So that sometimes we get us chefs a little bit brushed the wrong way, and nowadays it seems like everybody is a chef, everybody is a food critic, everybody have something to say about what the chef is doing. And I find that sometimes very surprising.
For chefs, people who have been in the industry, the stalwarts in the industry, I was having a conversation earlier today with 2 very big chefs, and say that, they're not really happy about it because it has cheapened a lot of like what we do a little bit. I mean, I'm saying those words, but that was kind of summary in essential, because they just go in and it's just, people just go in and just eating. It's not, they don't love food. It's not a food reviewer like you'll see, like a big deal is to be in like a New York Times food review. Like food writers are a big deal. Like they know how to invoke feeling, tell you about the food, what flavors, and that comes from like exposure and all these things. But if you're eating the same thing over and over, there's no way you have any kind of nuance. You don't know about fine versus fast casual. Like some people like to call some restaurants fine dining locally, and I'm like, we don't have any fine dining restaurants here. So it's a lack of knowledge. Like people just speak and speak very with authority, when it's like that you really don't know about food. So how you could talk about this?
Now, they might think otherwise, but the truth is, to market a brand, you need plenty more than just a video with plenty likes and shares. Establishments need to persuade customers who now have more convenient options like food apps and private chefs that facilitate more customizable experiences right at home. That requires more than just top-of-mind awareness. It calls for brand awareness, brand engagement, and brand conviction, behavior change, and other marketing strategies that don't just create sales spikes, but build brands.
For me, I think that's always very critical to any successful restaurant brand. It has to be an experience. It's not just about the food. I mean, if it's just about the food, you could make your food home, or you could call takeaway, have your takeaway, have it home in front of your TV, in your backyard. In fact, you could sit down in your car and eat noisily by yourself. You could do that.
So here's something that really interested. Even though media is like half of the word social media, the practitioners of the craft don't really see themselves as journalists. As such, the lack of journalistic integrity, which allows unethical practices like paid reviews, has spooked audiences and caused mistrust in influencers.
because social media is something that can actually make you, I mean, well, I'm not talking about the Americas and everything, right? Everybody else outside of the Caribbean who actually can make disgusting money from this thing. There's naturally a decrease in integrity, I would say, with regards to people's content and how they produce what they produce, because they're just trying to make a bag out here, which is, I respect, and is what it is, you know what I mean? But of course, like, I think that the integrity is something that you kind of lose with time, with that space of trying to just market to just make that money and ting. It's a very quick hustle lifestyle that's going on right now. So I think that it has shifted to that more than like just doing it. The purpose has really been lost over time, especially with now, like I mentioned, everybody's an influencer nowadays, you know what I mean? Everybody is jumping on doing it, which is great, because that's what people are consuming, right? Nobody watching TV and thing before, like they used to, right?
Trinidad get real hot. We living on salaries. My salary hasn't changed in the last 12 years. I live on 12 years salary. Gas rates 3 times or 4 times. I remember. So many things are adjusting. People have to find methods now to support themselves, to support their families. And then there's so many things that you have to try and do at once. You need to find those sources of income, and guess what? A lot of content creators going out there and they need to find that method. They find a method where they could get paid to do this in whatever way or form they're getting it done. So they're doing it. They're doing it. And can you blame people?
No.
You can't blame people, us. You can't blame people.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
Yeah. Food had to eat.
Now, in the critical times, when it really comes down to the wire, a lot of food influencers kind of shy away from taking a position of authority when it's time to talk about food. This is just my opinion, or I don't claim to be any big place title here. Usually acts as a disclaimer for a recognized lack of permission to properly evaluate the work of professionals with years of culinary training and or experience. The question is, if somebody openly admits to not having all the tools to execute a job, would you hire them? If somebody claims that their opinion is nothing special, just sharing their thoughts, why would we care? Why should we give our time? Why should we give our trust?
Yeah, I definitely think that the world has changed so much where anybody can say whatever kind of thing. You know, it's like everybody's leaving an Amazon review on like a top your boat or whatever. It's like that now. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, people are free will. They can choose who they want to take on, listen to. I mean, for me, when I make my videos, I don't do it in such a way where I expect you to take on everything I say. I'm not saying it to be, it's not like I'm trying to be dishonest or anything like that. I'm just doing me. You know what I mean? You have to remind yourself, I'm just doing me. I'm just a human, especially with food. Food is so subjective. So you can't really tell me. When people telling me, oh, that didn't really taste good. Take your time. If I like it, if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. I'm a real expressive person. So if I don't like something, you will know. You will know. No matter if it's paid or not, there's no reason for me to lie. There's literally no reason. Why would I do that? To know, knowing that I have this platform, and people take me in, and then they go and they have a bad time. That's an L for me. You know, there's no poor person that, you know. So, but like I said again, I'm not a picky girl. I have no experience with food and culinary anything. Nor did I ever claim to be like, I'm a food critic or whatever. I just happen to be doing food reviews off of things that I genuinely try in my life. Like a lot of times when I reach out to people sometimes, it's like me just being curious to try. I'm like, hey, in exchange for a video, would you like to give me a food complimentary or something? And they're not obligated to say yes. If they say no, that's all good. I come to spend my money anyway. It's all good. I'm trying to get the experience. That's what I'm trying to do and document. And I'm not doing it for anyone. I'm doing it for me at the end of the day. I'm not doing it for my followers. I appreciate my followers that are there. That's on my journey, of course. And I will always try my best to like be engaging and everything with them because of course they're there. You know, they're the ones who actually made me kind of be more on the map than ever, right? Yeah. And I'm grateful, of course. But at the end of the day, I'm doing it for me.
One of the errors.
No.
One of the errors that we've made is ever putting the word reviews at the end of our name, because that. You know, people started saying that same thing, Michelin star, American culture and standards of restaurants and whatever.
And you know, the funny thing, I put reviews at the end of the name because I wanted it to show that, hey, we could review anything, not just food.
Not just food, right.
Because we started to go down that road, oh, it's only food. So I was like, hey, well, you could do anything in it, just it. And after it was like, oh no, they're reviewing food. You know, this kind of way, so it's like...
Now, in a landscape that is favor engagement over credibility, you see, clickbait is run wild. It's common to see creators gaining favor with the algorithm while enticing viewers with promises of revealing the best or the top 5 or 10 food things in a category. But what is the real world impact of compiling a list of the best roti in TNT when it's really a list of the most popular roti in TNT at best? What does it say about other roti that didn't make the cut? How do these unverified reports really impact on how we view businesses and what they offer?
Because Foodie Nation is so like popular, I would say that, this has been said to me, a lot of food establishments reach out to us. But the unfortunate reality is we cannot go by every single one. So I think for us, the safest way for us to engage with everybody, get some good content out of it, provide substance, tell a story, educate. We turn it over to the community, we involve them, we ask them, okay, you vote and tell us what's your top 10 fried chicken spots, and then we'll go by each one. So we kind of not put it back on the community, but we want them engaged because, again, remember, as I said earlier, the goal is community. The goal is not, vanity metrics. So, you engage the community, you put it back on them. So if you have a fried chicken spot, tell your community to vote for you. I would think it helping to educate them because at the end of the day, Q, you have eat my macaroni pie? So how you know if it tasting good or bad? You understand? So how can you talk about this one fried chicken if you haven't tasted it? If you think your fried chicken is the best, okay, go and taste everybody else's one, and then make that determination. The idea is to engage the community, educate or help educate the community on these various food spots, and allow Foodie Nation to visit numerous food spots that we would otherwise be unable to visit because of the amount of volume of requests we get. Identifying the best, that's not for us to do. That's for the community to do. It's a democratic process. I mean, you could take what you want out of that. If the number one get 100 and the number two get 99, what do you want me to say for that? I'm just going by what the community says.
Now, another trick that content creators rely on is excess, which is a very American flex. And I'm not talking about like this value for money and justice for your dollar. I'm talking about food challenges, like giant food challenges and them kind of things. So we're talking about trying to see how much of an oversized dish one can eat in a short period of time. We're talking about creating the image of eating everything on our menu. Considering we have real problems with lifestyle diseases, is marketing excess with the shares and the likes?
One of the things I spoke about recently, which is the monstrous food challenges and that sort of thing. And I understand that companies are using this because it is a great marketing tool, right? It is fantastic. It gets views to your page. It gets customers to your door. What I spoke about is that we already have a huge hypertensive and diabetic population. And I didn't like the fact that I'm a food blogger and I've done a lot of buffets and that sort of thing, but there's a difference, in my opinion, of you going to a buffet and sitting down and eating pizza as much as you want. So I'm saying this is 10 pounds of food and you have 20 minutes in which you have to consume it.
Huge difference.
And I do agree with that. For some people might pass it off as a fun opportunity, but what that's going to push now is a lot of gluttony on the society. Everybody now to jump on this trend, again, we are monitoring the trend. Everybody to jump on this trend now would be coming out there with their own challenge, whether it be barbecue, pizzas, ice cream. So now you might have a man sitting down with a bowl of size full of ice cream and you have 10 minutes to eat it. And what goes to say now, that man walk out and his sugar fly up to 800, 1,000, and the man going to a coma now. And who is responsible for that? Not the restaurant got to make him sign a waiver. But the man have family, he have parents, he have siblings. Of course. You understand like that? The challenges is I don't like the influence, that specific influence is something that I'm not in agreement with. I mean, we sit down here, we eating, we get extra tiger prawn and thing, but nobody tell me, hey, you have 1 minute to eat one of this. Internationally, you have a lot of competitive eaters who eat competitively, but these are professionals who have trained for this and they're eating. This is a sport for them.
Yeah.
But nobody says we had to be like them. Because the first time when I speak about what somebody say, well, bed meets food does eat. But that is him, dog.
Decide to do that.
He decided why you had to go and try to push that influence down here for. And people tell me, I mean, there was somebody comment, I have my own choice, I could do it as you. I agree. But at the end of the day, more companies going to start promoting it. It's going to start, you are influencing the creation of this kind of nonsense in Trinidad. And again, Tobago Hospital right now have no space. If you go, one of the doctors messaged me from there, they say if you go and you check there, most of them are runners from diabetes, hypertension, some sort of illness related to lifestyle. I work with non-communicable diseases that we get called lifestyle diseases.
Now, in reality, producing content consistently is a lot of work, and internet popularity does come with some, the chances and negative conversations happen. This can contribute to influencer burnout, lack of motivation, and other social challenges as well.
Sometimes, you get up in the morning and the first thing you see is some negative comment. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not realizing how it's affecting them a lot.
Half of the time we do reviews, we might share something, we'll never finish it, and people be like, so much thing they're eating. You know how many people we know, like in a space that they're struggling, and we say, okay, let's carry this food for this person. Or you see a street dweller or a vagrant, however you want to describe them as, we give them something. It's not about us. It's not about selfishness. It's not about gluttony. It's not about that, boy. And I just have a hard time with these people just saying all these bunch of things. Oh, gosh, come on, be realistic. You live with people as well. Be realistic. Oh, God. But my mental health, I value it so much. And sometimes I question why I'm doing this still. It's hard. It's hard.
So what does all this mean? Well, this little exploration reveals some disconnects. We've made some very familiar wrong turns in our haste to embrace new technology. We made the same mistakes when Photoshop and DSLR cameras made us neglect the rudiments of photography. We made the same mistakes when computers and software like CorelDRAW, Illustrator, and Freehand offered shortcuts that replaced learning design principles. But we eventually realized that applying the foundation principles of the industry just made better products. Much in the same way, the democratization of media has opened the door for anybody with a phone and an internet connection to broadcast content in a way that was only achievable by big organizations with licenses and expensive broadcast equipment. But mass market broadcast was never what made media powerful. Reach was always for sale. We purchased press ads in newspapers that bought printers to print thousands of copies. We paid for radio spots on stations that purchased antennas to send signals all over the country, and TV spots on channels that owned powerful transmitters up on Cumberland Hill. Today, reach costs just a couple US, which is one of the reasons why traditional media like TV has been seeing a decline in media sales since 2016. The magic of media was always validation. We switched on the 7 o'clock news to confirm if that talk we heard today was true. We relied on the latest GQ or Elle magazine to give us a fresh style to wear to grad. We listened to Morgan Job on the radio so that we could include his unique perspectives on politics and current affairs in school on Monday morning. Media works when sources are credible. As such, neglecting to view content creation as a journalistic endeavor has resulted in a growing lack of trust in food influencers. And with reviews and recommendations that offer little more than a random rating out of 10 based on no real criteria other than personal opinion, it's easy to understand why. But this is not the end, This is just the start of a deeper conversation about where we are at in our digital lives. So we will continue to challenge things, observe, examine the landscape so that we can chart a better course for the future.